What do you think is humanity's greatest achievement? Reading and writing? Electricity? Going to the moon? French fries? Well, what if I told you we hadn't reached our greatest achievement until 9 days ago? And I feel like this really flew under the radar. And luckily, YouTube's mysterious recommendation algorithm tossed me this video, and I gotta tell you, sports fans, my third eye was truly opened. We had been living in the dark ages until this brave YouTuber accomplished what I'm about to show you today. Don't worry, illiteracy fam, I'll bring you up to speed if you can't process that title. One brave soul actually set out to collect the impossible blue stud in LEGO Star Wars: The Complete Saga. Next to playing Russian roulette with a fully loaded gun, this is one of the most dangerous things a human being can do. I don't know what I did to be blessed with such a banger video being recommended to me, but I am so thankful for it. So this comes from WeSuper, who does a lot of LEGO content, and it's all super interesting. I myself am actually pretty familiar with the LEGO speedrunning community. I actually did a speedrun for LEGO The Hobbit, and it's one of the more challenging runs I've done. These games have extremely interesting tech and glitches, so they can really be pushed to their limits. So the fact that he made an entire video going over all of the tricks that he would use to try and get this impossible block, I think is so captivating. I highly recommend you check out the full video. I'm going to put a link to it in the description. But I just want to show some of this and talk about it because I love this shit. Some people get invested in true crime. I say fiddlesticks, that's a load of hooey. What I get invested in is obscure challenges or gaming lore and history and speedrun documentaries, or a documentary like this. The way this is presented made it feel like we were about to find fucking the Zodiac Killer's true identity through collecting this blue stud. And I love that.
And all of these studs have probably been collected millions of times by players all around the world. Except for one. In the second map of Death Star Escape, far below the floor, lodged inside a kill plane. This is LEGO Star Wars Impossible Blue Stud.
Almost feels like I'm sitting down to watch a Netflix documentary here on the blue stud. Why should you care, you might be asking yourself? Well, it's because it's never been done before, and something that's never been done before is worth doing. It's important to remember all of human history is built upon those who dare to try. When someone says, who cares about that? Like in 1928 when people were saying, no one cares about mold, that's lame. Well, Alexander Fleming cared about mold when he noticed mold was preventing bacteria from growing in his petri dish. And then bang, we got penicillin. Just saying. This blue stud acquisition here could be the sequel to penicillin. We could get penicillin too. There's no telling how deep this could go.
The stud was quite literally inside a kill plane, meaning if you even try to get close to it, you just instantly die. And if I'm being honest, I had no clue that this area even existed for quite a long time. Like, what even is this platform? In order to get over here, you need to break a metal wall above the top of this hallway, use a grapple, go through a hatch leading to a platform with a whopping 2 blue studs. There are no collectibles in here, not even in challenge mode, so you don't even need to come over here while playing the game.
Laying the foundation of the mystery here. To even access the area is a bit of a tedious task that many players probably didn't even know existed, much like WeSuper. You have to go way out of your way to get here. There's no reason to go here. There's nothing there in the first place except for these 2 blue studs that you can easily acquire, as well as the impossible blue stud. Why? Who put it there? It's like the mystery of the Stonehenge, but for LEGO Star Wars: The Complete Saga. Why is there a blue stud that far down, sandwiched in a kill plane? It's almost as if God himself is trying to prevent us from reaching that blue stud.
The most obvious thing to try here is to just fall into it, but you won't even get close. You just hit the kill plane and respawn back up top. I tried doing a Jedi Slam, hovering over it, walking off the edge, jumping off the edge, double jumping off the edge. Nothing worked. This clearly was not going to be the way to go about this.
That was the first thing I said when watching this video. Why not fall onto it? I'm an expert gamer with decades worth of experience here. The first thing I would have tried is falling on top of the block. Even if you die in the process, you could probably still collect it on the way down. mission accomplished. You thought it was going to be that easy. You really thought it was going to be that easy? You stupid son of a bitch? Of course not. This is the impossible blue stud we're talking about here. The kill plane prevents you from even getting close to it.
My second thought to collect this stud would be to find a way to get underneath the floor and collect it from the side. The first way I tried to get out of bounds was to do a Yoda clip through the ceiling and go off to one side, where I can then cut back in under the floor. Actually, the kill plane even existed underneath the floor. This is pretty uncommon, as you can normally just walk underneath most floors in this game, but not this one.
Another peculiar obstacle here. As mentioned by Wii Super, you could walk under most floors in the game when you clip out of bounds, but curiously, you can't for this one. Almost as if it was intentional, by design. But why? So it was a good idea. Like, in a lot of games, you can get out of bounds and do a lot of things that were never intended by devs, so you can access certain things, you can skip certain things, and when it comes to getting that blue stud, it really did make sense that if you could clip under, get out of bounds, you could easily just walk behind it, give it the old reach around and pick it up, but that solution doesn't work here for some reason. Now, that was the only other idea I had, so if this was me trying to get the blue stud, that's where my journey would have stopped, 100%, but luckily, Wii Super is a little more tenacious.
First, I tried teleporting my character to the exact coordinates of the stud location. Even then, I still was instantly dying before my character even had a chance to pick up the stud.
This one was very interesting to me. So in a lot of these games that have been highly optimized for speedrunning and thoroughly explored, there's a lot of tools that they use to try and like push it in Theorycraft. So he's cheating here. This is him talking about like using cheats to try and get the stud just to confirm if you can even get it. Because there is a chance that since it's in the middle of a kill plane, no matter what you do, you couldn't. Your character would die before it ever touched it. So he was teleporting directly to the coordinates and just getting fucking blasted. Like he was just getting vaporized immediately, deatomized. So he wasn't able to even teleport onto the stud.
But like I said earlier, I just wanted to see if it was even possible to pick up at all. I wasn't too worried about the legitimacy at this point. But even walking off the edge with the Rancor, it still didn't work.
The next thing he was thinking is to expand upon what he was previously doing, using the biggest character model he could think of, because if the character's big enough, you could kind of like maybe tap the hitbox on the stud and pick it up before dying. But it didn't work still, even with the Rancor. So that brought him to another realization, kind of like a eureka moment.
I forgot about Stud Magnet. Stud Magnet increases the range you can pick up studs from, and although the range for blue studs increased is less, it still does increase. So now with this red brick on, I tried every single thing I did before, but with Stud Magnet. However, to my unpleasant surprise, it made no difference. At this point, I felt like I was truly out of options.
And that's when human beings are at their best. When we are pushed to our limits, pressure makes diamonds. What's that statement about a cornered animal being the most dangerous? So, after putting on Stud Magnet, which is basically, I'm sure you've all played games, it just increases the radius at which you can pick up the collectibles and stuff. Like if you've played things like, right now I'm playing Nine Souls, there's a Jade that you can put on that gives you a bigger collection radius on your Jin. It just acts as this way of getting things from more of a further range. So it would make sense that if you're dying to the kill plane, you could drop on top of it with Stud Magnet and it would bring the blue stud to you before you die. It makes a lot of sense. But it still didn't work here. There just still wasn't enough leeway to go from falling on top of it or even trying to reach it by other means and having Stud Magnet pick up on it and bring it to you. It just still wasn't working. And this is the anime moment when pushed to the limits, you have to push beyond them. You have to go plus ultra. This is when you can't just throw in the towel. You don't give up. And by golly, Wii Super didn't give up.
The only way I could somehow pick this up is if I could quite literally avoid the kill plane. Wait a minute, that's it.
Real quick, when I was first watching this, I thought that was a spoiler right there, where he just dropped onto the blue stud willy-nilly with Ben Kenobi and easily picked it up. I thought like the solution was as simple as just changing to Ben Kenobi and he can just do it for some reason. That is not the case. This is not a spoiler. He elaborated in the comment section saying that he modded the game to remove kill planes just for that clip for dramatic effect. So that's not like the solution or anything. He was just doing that for a little piece of movie magic, a little cinematic flair.
I needed the one and only freak who could avoid kill planes in the entire game. Yoda. This guy is a little freak. Everyone dies when jumping into this pit here. Not Yoda. 2, 1. Okay, didn't seem to work.
All of that build-up, reaching a crescendo of testosterone. Yoda, the freak. We've all known what a fucking sick bastard Yoda is, and this could have been the magnum opus for him. So in the game, he explains that Yoda has a weird hitbox in relation to kill planes, which is why he's able to go into that pit and not die. So the logic was, he deduced that he needs to avoid the kill plane if he wants any chance of getting that blue stud. Yoda he's the cream of the crop when it comes to that. So he thought by dropping on it with Yoda, avoiding the kill plane, he'd be able to get the blue stud. But alas, it didn't work.
But it was interesting how Yoda seemed to fall down a bit farther than all the other characters before dying, and it was at this point I realized something. In LEGO Star Wars, one thing the game does to prevent it from lagging is that when something is off screen, the object vanishes in order to save the game's resources. When I'm walking off the edge like this, the stud is so far down that it actually isn't loaded in until I've already died and can't pick it up. So with Yoda as our character, Stud Magnet turned on, and the camera panned down far enough that the stud is in range so it's loaded in, it was finally time for our final test. It had been done.
And just like that, for a brief moment, the world stopped spinning. Humanity in unison felt something deep within them in their soul, their DNA crying out to them. The impossible blue stud had finally been collected. So the solution is so simple, but it's obviously not one I would have ever thought of, and clearly nobody else until We Super came around and started like really poking at it and theorizing. And it turns out what you needed to do was pan the camera down so it would load in the blue stud, and then you just drop on it with Yoda, who has a weird relationship to kill planes. And you can get the blue stud. This is something that anybody can do right now if you really want to be among the impossible blue stud squad. Overall, just such a fucking great video. I love content like this. We Super made a great video. It was extremely interesting, and congrats to him for being the first to collect that blue stud. So yeah, definitely check out his channel. I got a link to the video in the description. Check out the full video, and yeah, that's really about it. So yeah.